what's real fulfillment anyway? We're often told it's about, achieving everything you set out to do. But what if you accomplished more than anyone in history and it still wasn't enough? Today, we're going to dive into the story of a legendary sage who had it all, and yet he felt this profound emptiness, kind of like the ultimate spiritual burnout.
I mean, you know that feeling, right? After all the hustle, you pour your heart and soul into something, you finally cross that finish line, you get the praise, but instead of that rush of joy, there's just this weird void. It's a huge part of modern life, but get this, it's an ancient problem too. So our story centers on this absolutely incredible figure, Vyāsadeva. Now listen, this isn't just any author. In the Vedic tradition, he's considered the literary incarnation of God, the one who took all this timeless, eternal knowledge and actually wrote it down for the benefit of all humanity. The scale of what he did is, well, it's just staggering. Okay, so let's just try to wrap our heads around the scale of his work. He authored the Mahābhārata, one of the longest epic poems in the world. He took the vast single Veda and organized it into 4 distinct parts. He wrote about everything, from social duty and economic development all the way to ultimate liberation. By all accounts, he had mastered and shared all available knowledge. You would think he'd be the most satisfied person on the planet. But he wasn't. And that right there is the core of our mystery. After all that work, after achieving literary immortality, he confesses this profound, soul-deep dissatisfaction. In his own words, "And still, my soul is not satisfied." He'd done everything right, but something was fundamentally, deeply wrong. Right at this moment of crisis, his spiritual guide, the celestial sage Narada Muni, just appears. Nārada is such a fascinating character. He's a cosmic traveler who can move between worlds, always carrying his instrument of Veena and constantly singing divine glories. He sees Vyāsa, and with this gentle, knowing smile, he gets right to the heart of the matter. And this is where the story really takes a turn. See, Nārada isn't just there to offer a shoulder to cry on. Nope, he's there to deliver a precise diagnosis for this profound spiritual ailment. Let's look at what he identifies as the root of the problem. Nārada lays out this fascinating critique. He says, "Vyāsa, your work is magnificent. You've covered duty, economics, pleasure, liberation, but you haven't really described the pure, spotless glories of the Supreme Person, Vāsadeva, or Krishna." He pinpointed a single critical omission. It's like all of Vyāsa's works were the instruction manual for the world, but he forgot to talk about the one who wrote the manual. Then, Nārada uses this incredibly powerful metaphor. He compares literature that's empty of a higher spiritual focus to a pilgrimage site for crows. So what in the world does he mean by that? All right, let's break that down. Crows, they're attracted to garbage dumps, places with discarded, temporary things. Nārada is saying that literature focused only on material gain and temporary fixes attracts minds that are focused on the same stuff. On the other hand, you have swans. They're said to flock to pristine, clear lakes. They represent pure, enlightened souls who are attracted to writing that describes the transcendent, the beautiful, and the eternal. The crucial point is this: the subject matter determines the consciousness of the audience. So after making his diagnosis, Nārada gives a clear 3-step prescription to cure Vyāsa's dissatisfaction. He tells him, first, fix your mind in deep meditation, or samadhi. Second, from that place of deep focus, specifically remember the divine activities of the Lord. And finally, you must write about that for the ultimate welfare of all people who are suffering. It's a call to completely reorient his entire creative energy. And to show this isn't just some nice theory, Nārada provides the ultimate proof, his own life story. This is where his argument becomes deeply personal and honestly, so compelling. Nārada reveals that he wasn't always a great celestial sage. He starts by describing his previous life, which was about as humble as you can possibly get. This personal testimony is meant to show Vyāsa the transformative power of the very thing he's recommending. It's like saying, hey, I'm living proof that this works. Just look at this incredible journey. He begins as a 5-year-old boy, the son of a maidservant, with no status, no education, nothing. His only job is to serve a group of saints. But the turning point comes when he simply listens. He hears them chanting and speaking about the glories of Krishna. This simple act of hearing awakens a deep spiritual desire in his heart. The sages see his sincerity, and they bless him with profound spiritual knowledge. And the result? In his very next life, he is reborn as the famous sage Nārada Muni. And this is the punchline of his whole story. His entire spiritual elevation, from the lowest position to the highest, wasn't powered by complex rituals or intense scholarship. It was powered by the simple, humble act of hearing about a divine subject from a pure source. This is the proof he offers to Vyāsa.
So, all of this brings us to the grand conclusion, the ultimate synthesis of this powerful dialogue between two great sages. What is the final purpose of all our work, our words, and our knowledge?
According to the sages who distilled this wisdom, after analyzing all forms of human endeavor, science, art, charity, philosophy, the whole shebang, they concluded that there is one singular, unifying purpose that makes them all truly successful.
And here it is, the single, unfailing purpose that brings true satisfaction is using our talents to describe the qualities and activities of the Supreme. This was the missing piece that Vyāsadeva overlooked. It's not that his other works were bad, not at all. They were just incomplete. They lacked the one ingredient that could actually satisfy the soul.
So why does this ancient story matter to us, right here, right now? Well, in an age of endless hustle and widespread burnout, this story suggests a powerful remedy. Aligning our work with a higher purpose isn't just about feeling good, it's presented as the ultimate antidote to the anxiety and dissatisfaction of modern life. It's about transforming work that binds and exhausts us into work that actually liberates and fulfills us. It's the key to the deep, soul-level satisfaction that even the most accomplished person, like Vyāsa, was so desperately seeking.
And that leaves us with a powerful question to reflect on. In our own lives, beyond the deadlines, the promotions, and the endless pursuit of the next goal, what is the ultimate purpose of our own work? This ancient story suggests that finding the answer isn't just a philosophical exercise. It might just be the secret to genuine, lasting fulfillment.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Our mission today is, well, it's highly unusual because we're looking at a problem of success, a crisis of achievement.
Right.
Imagine you are the greatest, most accomplished scholar alive. You've just completed this definitive, monumental work of literature, a work that contains, literally everything.
And
yet you feel this profound, just inexplicable emptiness inside. So what happens next? And I think more importantly, what's the diagnosis for that feeling?
well, we're diving into some ancient literature to find out. Specifically, a really profound dialogue between two of the most significant sages in the Vedic tradition.
Okay, so who we're talking about?
We have Vyāsa, who is the compiler of these massive, massive texts, including the Mahābhārata. And on the other side, you have Nārada, who's this divine traveler, a cosmic messenger.
So this conversation we're unpacking, it takes place after Vyāsa has seemingly done everything right.
Exactly. He's seated comfortably. He's just completed his life's work. But as the sources show us, that external comfort, it hasn't translated into any kind of real contentment.
So our goal here is to unpack this foundational idea that even wisdom, even immense knowledge can be insufficient, and how an expert guide, Nārada, in this case, offers this radical, almost counterintuitive solution to the master.
And this isn't just an ancient story. It's really, I think, the ultimate shortcut to understanding how you prioritize information, how you prioritize effort, especially today.
In an age of just total professional overwhelm?
Right. It's about making sure your hard work actually leads to fulfillment.
Okay, so let's get into the scene itself. The crisis of the master scholar, Nārada approaches Vyāsa.
And instead of just offering praise, which you'd expect, he begins with this very gentle, very probing question. He asks if Vyāsa's inner self is truly satisfied.
Not just physically.
No, not just physically. Mentally and spiritually, too.
Yeah.
He uses this specific phrase, Shirya Atma Manasa Evava. It's like a holistic checkup. He's asking, are all three parts of you settled? Are you content?
And if anyone should be settled, it's Vyāsa. I mean, his credentials are just staggering.
Oh, absolutely. He didn't just write a book. He synthesized millennia of knowledge.
Nārada even reminds him of it. He says, you've researched and understood the eternal absolute truth, the Brahma Sanatanam.
And on top of that, he just finished the Mahābhārata, a work that's described as being full of all meanings. The Sanskrit is Sarvartha Parihutam.
So it's not just a story, it's an encyclopedia on everything from philosophy to how to run a state. Vyāsa is the definition of the ultimate expert.
He is the pinnacle of intellectual achievement. And yet Nārada, with his unique perspective, as this cosmic traveler,
He sees the paradox immediately.
immediately Despite all the research, all the writing, he says Vyāsa looks exactly like someone who has not succeeded akartha eva.
That's such a relatable feeling, like a CEO who hits unicorn status, rings the bell at NASDAQ, but secretly feels that gnawing sense of failure.
It's exactly that, and Vyāsa confirms it. He just admits it outright. Tatapi natma paritiyatmi.
Yet, my soul is not satisfied.
What's so fascinating is his appeal. Vyāsa knows the problem isn't a lack of research. It's not that he missed some ritual.
So he turns to Nārada.
He does. He calls him, knowledgeable of all secrets. He compares him to the sun traveling the three worlds. He's essentially saying, look, I've followed all the rules. I've done all the work. I need you to look into my method, my dharma, and tell me where the flaw is.
He knows the solution isn't more work.
Exactly. It's a different approach to the work he's already done.
So if it's not the volume and it's not the intellectual depth, what is the fatal flaw? This is where we get the diagnosis, and it's delivered through these powerful metaphors that just redefine what successful communication even is.
And it is a radical diagnosis. Nārada pinpoints the missing element right away. He says Vyāsa focused too much on duties, on rules, on material analysis. All necessary things, for a world encyclopedia. But he failed to adequately describe the pure glory, the yasha, of the Supreme Lord, the Bhagavan. He documented the entire structure of the universe, but he forgot the joy. He left out the description of the one who orchestrates it all.
And this is where it gets really interesting for us, for you listening, trying to navigate all this information overload. Nārada gives this metaphor that splits all literature, all communication into two types.
That's right. He says any literature that does not praise the Lord, even if it uses beautiful words, Chitrapadam. So it's exquisitely written, it's intellectually rigorous.
It's just a crow-haunted holy place, a Vyāsa tirtham.
A crow-haunted place. I mean, just think about that image for a second. Crows are scavengers. They're chaotic, they're noisy, they're kind of dirty.
So he's saying that knowledge without that unifying, elevating purpose just becomes a destination for people who thrive on conflict.
On argument, distraction, yeah. It's a source of noise, not spiritual or mental rest.
Right. And the consequence of producing this crow-haunted work is that the enlightened swans,
the pure-minded seekers who are actually looking for peace and profound insight,
they just won't settle there. They fly right over it. So the work, despite its massive size, its intellectual rigor, it fails to attract the very people who are looking for deep, transformative knowledge.
And that distinction is so crucial. It means the true value of any communication isn't its complexity or how well it follows the rules. It's its ability to stabilize and to purify the mind of the person receiving it.
If your content just provokes endless, unsettled debate, then it's a crow's destination.
Exactly.
Okay, wait, let me just challenge that for a second. Are you telling me that intellectual quality doesn't matter at all? If I write some rambling, poorly structured sentence, but I throw in a devotional phrase, that's somehow better than a beautiful, well-researched piece of secular philosophy. That sounds, well, a bit simplistic.
I think it's a purposeful radicalization. He's trying to shock Vyāsa out of his framework. And the counterpoint he gives is just as powerful. Nārada argues that speech that does contain the names and glories of the Lord, even if it's poorly composed, abhadavadiyapi, so maybe it's grammatically imperfect.
Will still work.
It more than works. It actually purifies humanity, janataga viplavo, and is celebrated by pious people. The objective of the content trumps its stylistic perfection.
Because the goal is to elevate consciousness, not just to show off how smart you are.
Precisely. And that's the principle of application he gets into next. He says that even detached action, naishkarmyam, the cornerstone of karma yoga.
Acting without attachment to the results.
Right. That, or even pure knowledge, Janiya, is ultimately worthless.
Yeah.
It lacks luster if it's devoid of devotion of achyuta bhava varjitam.
So you can be perfectly balanced, incredibly knowledgeable, but without that devotional orientation, the effort just fails to satisfy the soul.
Just like Vyāsa admitted, it doesn't penetrate.
So we've got the diagnosis, a lack of devotional focus, but Nārada doesn't just leave him there. He gives him the cure and then backs it up with the ultimate proof, his own life story.
The prescription is immediate. It's targeted. Nārada tells Vyāsa to go into meditative absorption, samadhi, right now.
And what should he focus on?
On the Lord's specific activities, the vichetam, for one single purpose, freedom from all bondage, akela bandha muktai. It's an instruction to shift his focus from encyclopedic knowledge to divine personality.
And there's a serious warning attached to this, right?
A very severe one. Nārada says if you try to discuss anything else, anything separate from this purifying focus, the mind just loses all stability. It becomes like a boat hit by the wind.
That analogy is so helpful for anyone dealing with modern anxiety. The wind is just the chaos of the world.
The distractions, the arguments, the endless demands of the Mahābhārata itself, or your email inbox.
Right. And if the mind doesn't have an anchor, that devotion, it just gets tossed around. Vyāsa's exhaustion wasn't from overwork. It was from a lack of focus on the one thing that provides true ballast.
And this leads to maybe the most controversial statement in the whole dialogue, this radical priority shift.
This is where he says that if you abandon your prescribed duties, your svadharma, so your stable job, your societal obligations,
to fully worship the Lord. And even if you later fail on that path, you stumble.
what have you really lost?
Exactly. What is the loss? Conversely, he says, those who stick to their duties perfectly but ignore this devotional focus, they gain nothing substantial.
So he's saying, don't worry about outcomes you can't control.
Right. Happiness and suffering, the material ups and downs, they come from the inevitable force of time anyway. So focus your effort only on the eternal goal, the thing that ordinary life can't give you.
And to prove this works, Nārada shares his own origin story, which is just an incredible testament to pure devotion over any kind of social or intellectual status.
Yeah, he reveals that in a previous birth, at Titabev, he wasn't some great scholar. He wasn't a prince. He was just the son of a maidservant, Dasya, serving these Vedic scholars who were meditating during the rainy season.
So he's coming from the lowest social standing, no formal training at all.
None. But his conduct was perfect. He was quiet, he was submissive, he avoided all the mischievous games other kids would play. He was just present, attentive, disciplined.
And this service leads to the key moment.
The transformation. The sages, they see his purity, and they let him eat the remnants of their food. The source says that consuming these consecrated remnants, the Uchiladapan, immediately removed his sins. It purified him.
So it wasn't just a physical act?
No, it was a deep spiritual sanctification that he got through sincere service and association.
But the critical step wasn't the food, it was the listening.
That was it. By listening with faith, Tradahai, to the stories of the Lord, the Katakatar being sung every day, his love just grew. It was the combination of humble service, focused attention, and real faith that changed everything.
So the sages see this pure, internally motivated devotion.
And they impart to him the most confidential knowledge, Janam Gyatamam, knowledge that was spoken directly by the Lord, not something he learned from years of research.
So the master scholar, Vyāsa, is being told by the maidservant's son, Nārada, that the path to real fulfillment completely bypasses formal education and goes straight to the heart.
It's a total refutation of the idea that writing the most books makes you the happiest person.
It's about the intention, the emotional orientation of your work.
Which brings us to the ultimate purpose. Nārada distills the whole point of all spiritual effort. He says the unwavering purpose, the avichudotha of everything, penance, study, sacrifice, charity, is defined by the poets as simply the description of the glorious qualities of the Lord. Uttamashoka Gunavarnam.
That's the metric.
That's the only metric that matters.
So if your efforts, whether they're intellectual or active, don't lead to that elevation of consciousness, they're falling short. What's the immediate practical benefit of adopting this mindset?
The benefit is the cure. This knowledge is called the Chikitsitam, the medicine, for the three miseries of human existence, the Tapatraya.
The three miseries being
Sufferings from your own body and mind, like disease, sufferings from the environment, like natural disasters, and miseries caused by other people, conflict, emotional pain.
So Vyāsa's emptiness is just one version of this universal suffering, and devotion is the specific remedy.
Yes. The cure is dedicating all your actions, your whole body of work, your karma, to the Supreme Lord, Bhagavatam. Your work becomes an offering, and that shifts the entire purpose of your labor from seeking credit to serving a higher unifying goal.
And the final counsel, the last charge Nārada gives Vyāsa, is really powerful.
He urges him not just to understand this, but to share it immediately. Ahide Prekai, published to the specific focus.
Why?
To relieve the suffering of people who are constantly afflicted by sorrow, duhor muhur arditadmanam. And he concludes by saying that no other way offers true solace or lasting peace. Sacha nirvatsam ushanti nanyata. There is no other way.
Wow. So we started with the most accomplished intellectual of his time feeling totally empty after finishing the world's largest scripture. The aha moment here is that true fulfillment isn't in the volume of work or the depth of research.
It's in the proper emotional and spiritual orientation, the deliberate focus on purifying devotion.
So for you listening, the message is really about prioritization in this information-saturated world. Vyāsa had the Mahābhārata, an ocean of knowledge that just exhausted him.
And you have the internet, the corporate knowledge base, the endless news cycle. The question is still the same. What information genuinely purifies and stabilizes your mind and stops it from being tossed around like that boat in the storm?
If the greatest works of philosophy and history are judged by the enlightened swans who can find profound rest there, what criteria do you use today to judge the media, the sources, the conversations you consume?
Are your chosen sources actually purifying and stabilizing your mind? Or are they just distracting and chaotic? A destination for the crows.